You're listening to the Voice of Reason. I'm Dr. Len here with Francesco Garapoli. Hi, Francesco.
Hey, Len.
Good to be with you. You know, we talk about all these things that we see in the world that are challenging for us, and we don't always have easy solutions for them. And what a lot of this is going to boil down to is, what are we to do? What advice would we have that we can give to people who are living at this time that's so stressful, and we're so isolated, where there's so much frustration going on, where we don't have as much trust as we would like to have in what's being done? Those are important things. What would you start with?
Yeah. Well, what's so interesting is that, people haven't realized these kinds of responses they have within them, or fears they have within them, or apprehensions they have about being alone, because really it's something that's so easy to mask over. You can run out to the restaurant. You can go to the movie theater. There's a ton of events you can do. Go see a band play, go to the theater. We tend to have forgotten what it means to have all that taken away and what the implications are. So one of the big things for me is to face that idea of being isolated and alone, and do whatever you can to keep your social connections up.
Well, it's an opportunity,
Yeah.
to reassess your values. What do you want your epitaph to say? A question we don't look at very
Right.
often. Because if we know what we want to get out of life, we at least aim for it. A lot of the time, we're just trying to survive. And we forget about things like lifestyle. The most powerful medicine in the universe is lifestyle medicine. So we should pay attention to the style in which we live our life. So things like diet and exercise and stress reduction and getting enough sleep, not being overweight, avoiding the toxins, and probably in the world. And maybe the most important thing is to wear an inner smile, feel good
Right.
about things, and to be energetic and enthusiastic about how your life is unfolding, and finding a way to give it the meaning that you have to have that juice that carries you on.
Right. And these aren't easy. I mean, especially in times like this.
Right.
But what a blessing this time is, because it's given people a chance to be introspective. How many people do you know that go to work every day, and when the weekend comes, they blaze through their normal routine, and then it's back to Monday again? We have very little time to be introspective. Netflix has done a great job at keeping people from being introspective, because it's very easy to go watch another movie.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now people are saying, well, I've watched all the movies. Now I have to sit and think.
Well,
What
just
a
think of the poor
blessing that
people now
is.
that are living alone, and they're maybe living in a confined place. Maybe it's a whole bunch of units in a big complex, and maybe you got a couple of windows to see outside, and that's it. And you have a television set, and you're listening to all the bad news that they're scaring us with. Where's the inspiration? I hope you have a computer, at least, so you can do Zoom, or you can do Skype, or you have a telephone where you can connect with people. Because what I'm seeing is that we're remembering that we're human beings we live in relationship. And if we don't
Exactly.
take advantage of those relationships, we're missing out. Then it becomes about reading, writing, and arithmetic, the kinds of things that we expect our kids to learn when they're in school, forgetting that the most important thing is to learn how to live a life that is in where you're connected to people, and you're following the golden rule, and you're trying to enjoy each other's company and try to support one another, and move from this narcissistic thing where what you want to do is have a lot of money and a lot of power, and you call that success. It's quite the reverse. It actually interferes with our developing good community relationships. Going back to the village, I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, take something away from someone, and they realize
That's
how
exactly right.
valuable it is. And so in a lot of ways, this has been a great blessing. I know people who've taken a lot of things for granted, and all of a sudden start to see now, wow, I didn't realize how important my friends were. I didn't realize how important these certain activities we did. Like, I have friends who are dancers.
Mm,
They were so used to going twice a week to their beautiful dance gatherings. All of a
yeah.
sudden that's taken away. Yeah, they can do it on Zoom. It's not the same. So when we return back to whatever our new norm is going to be, I don't think some of these feelings are going to go away. We're going to start to sustain that sense of gratitude. And that will be the greatest gift that we get out of this whole situation.
I think that's right. You know, as I look back over my own life, the things that mattered to me when I was younger, first of all, was to find a mate. Okay. Thank God I did. I got a great mate. And then it was really about tennis. You know, I wasn't happy with how medicine was going, being practiced the way it was. I didn't like the separation that we had from our patients. I didn't like the idea of just using pharmaceutical drugs and technologies to try and solve the symptoms of their problems. And so I lived for 25 years playing tennis. I played the senior circuit for a long time. And while I can look back at that and say, oh my gosh, that was such a waste of time for you, but it wasn't. It was a stepping stone I needed to take to find myself. And the real things, the real benefit that centered me was another disaster. You know, I had a heart attack a couple of years ago, and that really leveled me. And when I realized what that meant, because I wound up getting a triple bypass. So I was on the pump for about 3 hours, came out of that a little bit woozy, but there was this feeling I had. It was I needed to change the way I live my life. It was a wake-up call that said, the people in your life are the most important things. And you kind of have given that lip service, but you haven't really acted on that to the extent that you could. I would do that with my patients. I'd listen and care because I would care about how they felt. But the people that were the real important in my private importance in my private life, it was different. And so that wake-up call changed. And I went from being all about I, me, my, and mine to what I could share and give and how I could spread love with the people that I care about. And that made life so much better. And now I think my epitaph is going to be a lot different than it would have been had I been, you know, just saying, well, you were a tennis player. Not that that's bad. I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't give me the real confidence, the real satisfaction that that's what life was about for that's what it should be for everybody. And we've got to learn that. And we usually learn it the hard way.
Well, for you, you had to physically have your heart opened.
That's what happened.
What a powerful symbol. I mean, literally and figuratively, it's what we all need to go through. And I pray that people can make the choice to do it so they don't have to have some forcible way to open their heart.
Well, that's right.
In a literal way. But this Corona situation is really a part of this. It's a part of, I think, our world reevaluating our morals, our wishes, our value system. And so for me, for that, this is a great gift. And now it's a chance to know that you can make choices, lifestyle choices, dietary choices, emotional choices, how you respond, all these kinds of things you've taken for granted. Maybe right now, each of us can really take a look at a list, you know, close your eyes or write it down and say, what is that list I want to reevaluate and revisit and come out of this thing a better person, you know, a more whole person and a joyful person.
Well, see, we're on a spiritual path. And I think that the universe is incredibly complex, but it's perfect. And the things that happen aren't an accident. We're offered opportunities through the things that unfold in our lives. And some of them are disasters and some of them aren't. We have times we celebrate the wonderful things that we did and how we learned from them. But sometimes it takes a wake-up call. And I don't think that these things are accidents. I think these are Mother Nature, God, however you want to look at that in a spiritual way, is what's really important in understanding or at least knowing about, so that you can take advantage of the things that happen in your life and make opportunity come from disaster. And that's what's happening with COVID-19 in so many ways. And it's what you're pointing out here that I think is so important. So, okay, so things have happened. Our lives have been trashed in a lot of ways. The economy's in trouble. The country's in trouble. The world's in trouble. And yet there's a lot of good that's going to come from this, because the wisdom that we're learning from the experience, because life is a series of experiences, we're going to make the most out of that. And we're going to come out of that stronger and better than we've ever been before. So it's difficult to suffer, but it's what, you know, the Buddhists were right. Those darn Buddhists, they were right. life is about suffering to a large extent, but it's not just that.
Right. And you suffer when you cling on to desire. That means when you cling on
Mm,
to old, non-productive views. So we're right now in the moment of history of an evolutionary driver. There's many in
that's
history.
right. That's the right word.
Evolutionary drivers that whether you like it or not, you hold on tight because you're being driven into change. When you're proactive for change, you tend to just move through it. When you cling on to desire, as the Buddhists use in their model, you're going to hit an abrupt wall when it's time to make that shift.
Yeah.
I read Market Watch the other day, and they're claiming that this COVID situation, COVID-19, is costing 1.5 billion to 6.7 trillion dollars in losses in the economy.
Wow.
Okay, so we could look at that as a disaster, or as my old philosophy teacher used to say, the world you view depends on your worldview. So
Oh
when
boy.
we shift our worldview, and when we can look
Mm.
at this evolutionary driver idea and say, okay, yeah, a lot of this stuff sucks, but underneath, peeling away that is this amazing opportunity to shift a worldview that will change the world I view.
Oh, that's so beautiful. This is the real stuff. This is the stuff we need to pay more attention to rather than looking at the things that we had removed from our lives. But they were so necessary to open our eyes. You know, when I woke up after my surgery, it was unbelievable. It was filled with my family when I woke up. And as I was extubated and I became, it was incredible at how things were unfolding. And I had love in my heart that was weird almost, because I was telling the people in the room how much I love them. And there were people that I normally wouldn't say that to. And they're going, wow, you get real close to me. And that's, uh, I'm not used to that. But that's what we needed, is exactly what we needed to be able to be like we were, in a loving sort of way. So that's what happened.
It's beautiful, Len.
Yeah, well,
This is our opportunity right now.
well, it's wonderful to live by the golden rule, what you know, just do unto others as you'd like done unto yourself. And Walter Reiner wrote a wonderful thing about everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten. It's about how to get together. And what we do is we look at the academics, reading, writing, arithmetic. Let's make scientists out of you, and people who will be like Bill Gates and have lots of money. And okay, that's the wrong view. The view is, how do I live so that I build community? How do I, that's where we are. And that's the voice of reason for today. We'll be back again tomorrow with another show. Thanks for listening.